Hey everybody, welcome back. This is my first recording on the new camcorder that my girlfriend Mallory got me. She just got it today. Today is my 21st birthday. So, I had a lot of fun with that, and right now it's about, say, sometime after 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to do a new review. This review I've already done previously, but the computer that I was using to record it on, it doesn't have enough memory, so it wasn't able to fully load the actual video, so it's somewhere out there lost. My first review will be the M. Night Shyamalan movie Split. Split is a psychological thriller that follows the story of three teenage girls who are kidnapped by a mysterious stranger, and they soon come to find that their captor has DID, otherwise known as dissociative. I'm trying to remember. Let me think. Yeah, I think it's dissociative identity disorder, otherwise known as multiple personalities. He has 23 distinct personalities living inside of his head. He has big plans for them, but I will not say what they are because that would be spoiling the movie, and I believe that this is a worthy enough movie to go out and see. Anybody who really loves, say, the classic M. Night Shyamalan movies, such as Unbreakable or Sixth Sense. Both movies I've never seen, but I'm quoting the hardcore classic fans of M. Night Shyamalan here. But I really love this movie. I'll tell you my absolute favorite parts about it. It has to do with the two main characters. So you have two of them. You have the main girl, who's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, named Casey Cook, and then you have the actual captor himself. His name is Kevin Crumb, but he doesn't go by Kevin throughout the entire movie. He's more mentioned. Kevin is more referred to as whichever personality is in the spotlight. So if Dennis is the one that is in the spotlight, is referred to as Dennis. If Barry's noted, then it's Barry. If it's Hedwig, it's Hedwig. So first I'm going to talk about Anya, Casey Cook. She's at first, when you meet her, she's a very bland and not relatable character. And I know for me especially, I thought that she was acting horribly throughout the movie. There were a couple of things that she was suggesting the other girls to do while they were in captivity. And a lot of it doesn't make it makes sense, but then you think, how does she know this? There's no explanation. But as the story goes along, it's like this year's Oscar winner, Manchester by the Sea, with Casey Affleck. The Casey Affleck character, you don't know why he feels so bland, but as the plot goes, you understand why they are the way they are. They being Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea, and then Anya Taylor-Joy in this movie. And I thought she did very well. I can actually see why everybody thinks that she's one of the next upcoming stars. I mean, she was in The Witch, which I thought was a very underrated, not really a horror movie, but a psychological thriller, if anything, from last year. And I believe she was in Morgan. I never saw that movie, but I just heard the reviews were horrible, so I never ended up seeing. And the second main character, who is my favorite part of the entire movie, and who the plot basically revolves around, is Kevin Crumb, the man with the 23 personalities living in his head, who's played brilliantly by James McAvoy of X-Men fame. He plays Professor X, the young Professor X. He gives a career best in this film. I loved watching him. And I honestly believe that if the film had come out earlier in the year, during Oscar season, which is anywhere between the mid-November to December 31st of that year, or the previous year before the Oscars actually come out, I believe that he would have at least been nominated. I don't know if he would have won. He would have been my pick, but I don't know if he would have won. And one thing that I loved about his character was that he wasn't just playing one role. He was playing at least 6 or 7 roles. And by that I mean, like I said, he has the 23 personalities, but you don't see all of them. There's a couple of those, 6 or 7. A couple of them are kind of hinted at, and you see like little snippets. But mainly they focus on about 4 or 5 personalities. They had a pretty good chance to shine throughout, and I loved it. I especially loved, this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailers, the one who's in his head named Hedwig, who's 9 years old, is my favorite personality. And you don't notice from the voice, but it took me a little bit, but apparently Hedwig is a 9-year-old little girl in his mind, and she is hilarious. Just, there's one word that she always says that I end up repeating every once in a while in her voice, and you'll understand. And she even has one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It involves a tape deck, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You wouldn't think that it'd be awesome, but it is. It really is, in my opinion at least. There is, however, one scene with James McAvoy that just shows that he is a high caliber actor. It's in a therapist's office, and him and his therapist are talking, and she's mainly only seen one personality by the name of Barry. He's a very eccentric person. He's really into fashion, so usually when he goes in there, if they're not talking about whatever problems he's going on through his life, her and Barry talk about fashion. He even has sketches of, you know, dresses and outfits that he's made, and they're pretty good. But in one therapy session, instead of Barry, she's actually talking to Dennis, but Dennis does not want her to know, so he puts up this facade that he's Barry, but he's not able to pull it off as well. And at this point, the therapist is actually starting to theorize that Barry is not Barry, and she actually has a list in her notes because Kevin gave the names of all of his personalities, all 23. She theorized that it was Dennis, and he keeps putting up the facade for a little bit, but then after a while, after she starts explaining things, like how she actually feels like Kevin needs them in order to survive because of, you know, things in his life, when he starts to let his guard down, his face, just the facial expressions that he does, changes the way he looks. Like, when he started looking like Barry, he looked like a somewhat happy James McAvoy. But then when he turned, slowly, not really turned, but became Dennis, it was haunting. I actually felt chills up my spine. He did not look like James McAvoy. He looked like somebody else. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before. Where, yeah, even if they're really a chameleonic or method actor, you can still see that it's them, even if you don't feel that it's them. But I had just seen one person visually become another. And it was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. As for the story, I thought it was a really good story. It kept me interested throughout. I mean, as most horror movies, in my opinion, the first act is usually the weakest, but it always gets better, and that's mainly due to pacing. Pacing in the first act was kind of hit or miss for me, mostly miss. But as soon as the girls that are captured learn that Kevin's, well, different, then the pacing picks up. Now, this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, so obviously there's a 97% chance that there's going to be some kind of plot twist. So, you know, what a twist! As for negatives in the movie, like I stated earlier, the pacing is a little iffy in the first act, but it does pick up, so I will give it that. There's a few problems with the dialogue, not too much in the two main characters, but it's mainly in secondary and tertiary characters. It's sometimes it's bad acting, because I feel like a lot of the actors and actresses, especially the other two girls that are with Casey in the room who were kidnapped, I feel like they weren't trying. And also, back to the dialogue, sometimes it didn't feel like it complemented the overarching story or even the scene that the dialogue was taking place in. Overall, I would say that Split is a very enjoyable movie. It shows that M. Night Shyamalan has found his place again, and that hopefully he will not do any more atrocious movies like, say, Lady in the Water, or maybe... Sorry, I don't want to say this. Last Airbender. It's got amazing performances from the main characters. It's got a very good story and a couple of very nice twists throughout. And even the ending plot twist is great, in my opinion. I really hope that the studios allow M. Night Shyamalan to keep making movies, because if he's going to make movies like this from now on, then I think that we have a lot to look forward to. So I'm going to try something new that I've never done in a video. I've only done it slightly with my girlfriend. I'm going to give it a rating of an 84, so a B. The next few videos, or video, depending on what I want to do, I may do one big video on all of them, or I may just do about 9 short reviews, but they will all be on the 2017 Best Picture nominations. Even though we already know who won, I still want to comment on all of them, and I want to give my personal opinion on who should have won, because I will be honest, I don't agree with who won at all. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe down below, and thank you. Bye.